Families are at war over a wedding tradition India banned decades ago. CNN Bismaya Nair had been married for just over 1 year when she was found dead in the bathroom of her husband's family's home in India's southwestern Kerala state. Initially, police had no reason to view the 24-year-old student's death on June 21st as suspicious, until her family made a complaint under the country's dowry death law. The law allows charges to be brought against people for causing the death or suicide of the woman within the first 7 years of her marriage, in which the family had promised a dowry, gifts given to the groom's family when a couple marry. Dowries have been banned in India for more than 60 years, but the practice persists, and not only rural and more traditional part of the country. Kerala, where Nair died, boasts some of the highest literacy rate for both men and women in India, and is generally considered in progressive state, but it still exhibits stark and persistent dowry inflation since the 1970s and has the highest average dowry in recent years, according to a World Bank report released in June. Bismaya Nair at her wedding in May 2020. Harshita Attaruli, an Inspector General of Police in Kerala, said investigators have yet to establish whether Nair died by suicide or was murdered. Police arrested Nair's husband, Kiran Kumar, under India's dowry death law. He remains in custody but hasn't been charged. Kumar's lawyer, B.A. Arur, said Kumar did not commit any dowry-related crime. There is nothing on record to show that this gentleman either committed the murder or the dowry death, he said. There is nothing on record to show that this gentleman either committed the murder or the dowry death, B.A. Arur, Kumar's lawyer. Traditionally, a dowry referred to gift in the form of cash or goods that parents gave their daughters to provide her with more financial security in her marriage. But now experts say families are transferring cash, gold, cars, real estate property, or other assets to the groom's family as the condition of the marriage, and some families are deeply unhappy with the deal. An illegal practice. India's dowry system dates back in some form for thousands of years, when women who were unable to inherit property under Hindu laws or provided with a dowry registered under her name during marriage. Over time, the practice became associated with the violence against women linked to the coalition of dowry from her family. Crimes included physical abuse and harassment, as well as deaths related to dissatisfaction over the amount of dowry received. So it was criminalized under 1961 Dowry Provision Act with a fine and prison sentence of at least 5 years. But the law was ineffective, say experts. So in the 1980s, lawmakers introduced sections into India's penal code allowing authorities to charge men or their family members with dowry that the charge carries a prison sentence of 7 years to life. But despite the tougher penalties, the practice of dowries still remains deeply entrenched in society as an integral part of marriage. According to a World Bank, a dowry was given in 95% of the 40,000 marriages that took place in rural India between 1960 and 2008. The information was based on the 2006 Rural Economic and Demographic Survey, the most recent source of dowry data covering 17 major states. Recent crime figures suggest the dowry are still being paid. In 2019, the country recorded more than 13,000 complaints over dowries and more than 7,100 dowry deaths, according to the National Crime Records Bureau of India. Of the 3,516 dowry deaths that were tried in court in 2019, only 35.6% led to the criminal conviction. Experts say it can be difficult for families to prove that harassment over a dowry led to the woman's death. Thousands of cases are still working their way through court. At the end of 2019, more than 46,000 cases were still to be tried. Activists say a large number of cases shows the laws in place are highly ineffective and have been for a long time. Legally, it's a ban, but it is socially accepted practice, said Sandhya Pillai, a trustee of Shakti Women's Resource Center in Kerala. Nobody feels that it's not okay to give or take a dowry, irrespective of the law. She loved to dance. Nair's brother, Vijit Nair, said his sister was once a bright, bold, and active girl. She was a very active woman. Not only was she studying medicine, but also she used to be part of the National Cadet Corporation Corps and represented the state in national camps, he said, referring to her involvement in the youth wing of the Indian Armed Forces. She loved to dance, she loved to travel and fly. That changes after she married, he said. She was restricted from using social media, from calling her parents, from flying, all because of this one thing, this dowry. Vismaya Nair with her brother, Vijit Nair. He said her husband Kumar didn't seem happy with the car his family gave him. We gave him a good car, but he didn't stop demanding for a bigger and more expensive car, Nair said. The police inspector Attaruli said Kumar was embarrassed by the make and model of the car he received and not happy with his wife's dowry, which included an amount of gold. Nair said his family wanted his sister to be financially secure. We gave this much for her. What I earned working, my father's life savings from 20 plus years of working. We gave it all for her life security, he said. And only 1 year passed after her marriage and we lost her. Kumar's lawyer said allegations of dowry dispute were false and baseless. CNN has attempted to reach Kumar's family for comment on ongoing battle. Nair was not the only woman to die in suspicious circumstances in Kerala in June. The families of 3 other women have also filed complaints with the police over dowries. On the same day as Nair's death, 22-year-old Archana died from immolation according to the complaint lodged with police that only identified her by one name. Police registered the case under the criminal section of the death of the woman within 7 years of marriage. A day later, 19-year-old Suchitra T.R. was found dead in the home she shared with her husband, according a complaint filed at Bilikunam police station. Police say they have not made any arrest and have not ruled out allegations from TR's family that it was a dowry debt. CNN has reached out to TR's family for comment but has not heard back. A fourth new bride was also found dead in her home, and the family was complained of dowry harassment, Reuters reported, without naming the woman. The woman gathered to participate in the 620-kilometer Women's War Against Gender Discrimination in Kerala, 2019. While the facilities haven't conclusively been classified as dowry deaths, they have sparked widespread shock and anger in Kerala, with many demanding an end of the controversial custom. We cannot say that literacy has not contributed to women's empowerment. Lots of progress has been made for women's rights in different social avenues, said Pillai. At the same time, we have this deep-seated patriarchy that we are not able to overcome irrespective of the high rate of literacy. If you want to get your daughter married and you don't give dowry, you are not going to find a good educated man. Bijit Nair, Bismaya's brother. Kerala police investigated 68 dowry-related deaths, including suicides, between 2016 and May this year, according to police record. The same record showed the police dealt with more than 15,000 complaints of cruelty by husbands and relatives during the same period. Nair's brother said there was no question that the dowry was expected for his sister's marriage. If you are a girl who has a good education and you are from a good family, it doesn't matter. Bijit Nair said, if you want to get your daughter married and you don't give dowry, you are not going to find a good educated man. That's the system in Kerala. Shame, stigma, and silence. Experts say it's hard to clamp down on the controversial custom because it has become intertwined with one's reputation and social standing. People fear they will be looked down upon if they don't display the wealth in their daughter's marriage, said Pillai. The custom has also been normalized under the guise of gift giving, blurring the line between what is traditionally considered a dowry and what could be classed as the gift voluntarily given to the groom's family from the bride. Shahida Kamal, a member of the Kerala Women's Commission, describes this as a loophole in the 1961 Dowry Provision Act. She says the present such a gold, land or cars gifted by families don't come under the provision of the act. Here starts the dilemma of pretending to be a wealthy family and satisfying the groom's family by any financial means, she said. Flavina Kodos, a professor researching gender, migration, and human development at the Center for Development Studies in Kerala, said many women in marriages where dowries are causing dispute don't say anything due to shame and humiliation. Nair said his sister had been physically and verbally abused by her husband through their marriage. When her family found out, we brought her back home and never wanted to send her back again to her husband's home, he said. Nair said he convinced him not to report the abuse to the police. She was doing her practical exam at school when her husband found her, apologized, and asked her to return to his home. His brother said she agreed. After that, she hid all things from us. We believed that she was okay, Nair said. He believed his sister did not want to cause any more pain for her family or bring any burden or shame to them. Philae says a sense of guilt is common in women, especially if the woman's parents are elderly or struggle to provide a large enough dowry. Kumar's lawyer says Kumar denied the abuse allegations, adding there was no physical abuse or ill treatment inflicted by Kumar through the course of the marriage. Fighting for justice. Philae says the Shaki Women's Center receives the hundreds of calls from women seeking help every month, but many women don't speak up. We need to continue talking about these topics seriously in society, Philae said. That is the only way people will begin to conflict them and not forget about the plight of our daughters. But there are also systemic frameworks that set inherent power imbalances between men and women that needs to be addressed, said Kodoth. For instance, state banks emphasize giving loans to facilitate marriage for women, but don't offer the same loans for grooms, which could encourage families to push their daughters into marriage at an early age. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan with an activist during the Women's War protest in 2019. Days after Nair's death, Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan took to Twitter to condemn the practice of dowry. As a society, we need to reform the prevailing marriage system, he tweeted. Parents have to realize that the barbaric dowry system degrades our daughters as commodities. We must treat them better as human beings. Bizayan said more stringent measures would be put in place in Kerala to support women. Since then, around the clock Women's Helpline has been set up, and Vijayan said the school syllabi will be revised to remove the contents that may be disparaging toward women. Parents have to realize that the barbaric dowry system degrades our daughters as commodities. We must treat them better as human beings. Pinarayi Vijayan, Kerala Chief Minister. Steps will be taken to turn our schools and colleges into spaces that embrace the idea of gender equality and equal rights, he said. Kodos says the dowry custom persists nationwide because of patriarchal values deeply embedded in Indian culture, systems, and daily life. She says teaching children to embrace the gender equality from a young age is crucial because the dowry practice can only be challenged if there is a societal reawakening. Nair's brother says he is determined to get justice for his sister. We need to keep her story alive, he said. I need justice for my sister. I will fight for her till my last breath.